This is episode 10 of my modded Minecraft series. On average, I record 10 hours per episode, which means that I now have spent 100 hours in this world. This is where I am now. But how did I get here? Starting off with episode 1. As usual, I created a new world. I started to collect wood and stone to create the starter tools I needed. Then I discovered this little villager house nearby. I decided to pay a visit and it paid off. The villager kindly offered me food, armor and iron, which I used to upgrade my equipment. It didn't give me enough protection though, so I decided to go mining for a bit. I stumbled upon a huge cave system with a couple of diamonds in it. I used those diamonds to craft a diamond rapier and a diamond shield. This was pretty good early game protection. This gave me the confidence to explore the world a bit. I stumbled upon my first ice dragon not much later, which sucked the confidence right back out of me. This dragon tried to kill me at like 4 separate occasions, but failed each time. Besides being hunted by the dragon, I also fought Stymphalian birds and sea serpents. Like a true warrior, I survived all those attacks. I felt like I was traveling too slow, so I got myself a horse, which we later named Juan. We traveled long distances. We arrived at a savanna biome with a lightning dragon in it. Even though I don't have the equipment to take on such a beast, I decided to try and kill it anyway. And of course, I used the powerful weapon, which is the lava bucket. It took multiple attempts, but in the end, the trap worked and the lightning dragon was defeated. 10 hours have now passed. In episode 2, I decided to walk in a straight line for 10 hours. I still don't know why, but yeah, that was my decision and that's exactly what I did. Before I started the walk, I first got myself some better armor, which I also enchanted. I used the enchantment table of another player. Once I was ready, I picked a line and followed it. I walked through countless forests and found many things. The first major thing I came across was a fire dragon. I tried to take it out while staying on my line. Thanks to the preparations I did beforehand, I was successful. I grabbed the loot and continued to walk on the line. A couple blocks later, I found another dragon. This time it was an ice type. You already know I'm too good to die, so naturally I defeated this one too. Not long after, I ran into 2 sea serpents. These guys actually got me down to 2 hearts, but they were still no match for me. I continued to walk and walk until I came across a big ocean filled with more sea serpents. I was forced to bridge above the water because traveling by boat was too dangerous. While building the bridge, I ran out of blocks and dropped into the ocean. A sea serpent was lurking around not far away, which then killed me. Now it's episode 3 and roughly 19 hours have gone by. Since I just died, I had to restart without anything. I'm still in the same world but at a random new location. So I got wood, then stone, then upgraded to iron. While in the cave, I discovered a skeleton dungeon, which I also looted. Got some pretty OP stuff. The goal of this episode was killing a stage 5 dragon within a couple hours, so I had to move quick. Luckily, I found yet another skeleton dungeon with amazing loot. I smacked all that together and went mining. I got myself full diamond gear. As I continued to mine for diamonds, I found an ice dragon cavern. I decided to fight it. I carefully sneaked my way to it and started to shoot it, but it didn't go according to plan. The dragon managed to escape before I could kill it. My time was running out and there was no way I could defeat the dragon up there without dying, so I decided to let this one go. In episode 4, it was time for me to get myself a base. A war base to be exact. I wanted a base that was hard to break into, which is why I wanted to take over a mausoleum and turn that into the war base. It's made out of dread blocks and they function like bedrock. That's why it was a good option. There are many dangerous mobs that spawn inside a mausoleum, so I had to get a better bow. To craft it, I needed a wither bone, so I headed into the nether. I killed a couple of wither skeletons and got myself a couple wither bones. I crafted a dragon bow and started to enchant it. Using that bow, I managed to kill a stage 4 dragon. Using the dragon skills I just got, I made myself a new set of armor and enchanted that as well. Now I was ready to take on the mausoleum. That was a long and rough battle. To make the mausoleum even more secure, I added 3 layers of obsidian and water underneath it. After the renovations were done, I finally had a war base. To be honest, I've never really used it to this day. Maybe there will be a use case for it someday. It's episode 5 and right at the beginning, I slipped through a little crack in the world and died again. And because I was tired of getting reset all the time, I changed the world from hardcore to survival. I know it's a real L move, but it had to be done. So I went and got my stuff back. I continued to explore the world and fought a couple of dragons and hydras. Then I came across another skeleton dungeon, but instead of removing the spawners, I decided to make an XP farm out of it. I mined out the entire area and built a water pipe system to get the skeletons into the farm. It's a very effective skeleton XP farm that I still use. I got unlimited arrows and bones, which helped me a lot. I also managed to kill a female ice dragon, which dropped my very first dragon egg. Remember this dragon egg for later. After 5 episodes, 49 hours have passed. In episode 6, I went on to defeat every kind of dragon. There are 12 of them to fight. I started off against the copper dragon with my friend by my side. That way we were able to double team it, which we successfully did. I mean, he died, but we defeated the beast. We took on another dragon together, which was the electric blue one. After we managed to kill it, we split ways and I continued this challenge on my own. I took on dragons left and right, from bronze all the way to black. I've now spent 60 hours in this world, which brings us to episode 7. I finally hatched my first dragon. That white ice dragon we got in the beginning is now coming to life. I named the little one Longway. He's been in this family ever since. Once he grew a couple stages, I could ride him and fly around. We searched for jungle Myrmex hives with the goal to make an egg farm out of them. Due to a bug which existed back then, it wasn't possible. I was able to hatch my own Myrmex family though. It still stings that I wasn't able to create an egg farm then. But if you continue watching, you'll maybe see one by the end, because I'm going to attempt it again. With 69 hours in, we land in episode 8. In this one, I went after every dragon egg. I wanted all 12 of them. My friend challenged me to get them all within 1 hour, and I accepted. We put the phone number of each other's sisters on the line. So I started the clock and ran like a madman to collect all 12 eggs. It was a very difficult task, which I only managed to complete with luck on my side. The real victory came after when I bagged my friend's sister. I'm kidding, that didn't happen. So now a little more than 70 hours have passed and we're in episode 9. I still don't know why, but I decided to collect every block inside of this modded world and place them in the dragon cavern. I started by clearing out the cavern. Then I started to collect all the blocks. I went from simple blocks like dirt all the way up to sponges, netherite, all the different kind of color blocks, then all the blocks in the end dimension, and finally the dragon steel blocks. This took well over 20 hours, which brings us to over 90 hours spent in this world. And here come the last remaining hours to get us to that 100 hour mark. Let's first take a look at the renovations I made to the rainbow cavern. I decided to expand it after all. I added a little room in the back for the waystone and also this blue pathway. And the most notable change is in the cavern itself. I added a bunch of blocks to the walls and the roof. This definitely made a difference. This took me a couple hours to complete, but now that it is done, we'll go try and get that Myrmex queen egg. In order to do that, I have got to find a new jungle Myrmex hive. But first, let's visit an old one where I hatched my own Myrmex. This is where I discovered that my own Myrmex have reset somehow. But that's okay, because I'm looking for a new one anyway. Let's just get rid of this witch and move on. So I got a long way and started to fly around in search for a new jungle biome, because that's where they spawn. After a while, we discovered a new jungle biome with a jungle Myrmex hive. I got off long way and started to search for the workers. It seemed like no one was home, so I checked the map and luckily there were a few inside. Now that I confirmed that, I needed to get some resin chunks to give to the other workers, so I teleported back to the island with the storage room and got some. Then I went back and looked for workers. All I found was the queen and some soldiers that were trying to eat me. I ran around in the hive and I just couldn't find any workers anywhere. Then the queen died, which made this hive useless. I grabbed the eggs that were left unprotected and went on to find the next Myrmex hive. Luckily, the jungle biome I found was massive, so it generated more than one Myrmex hive. I dropped into the second hive and got attacked immediately. I ran over to Longway and put him back into the dragon horde. A lot of Myrmex were on me, but at least I know there are some workers around here. It was dark out, which made the sky red spawn. They knocked me off my tower a couple of times, which was delightful. Soon it was daytime again and I could continue with my objective to tame the hive. Before I started to give them my resin chunks, I made sure that there was a queen down there. Got stung a lot of times right there, but I made it out and I started to drop the resin chunks around the entrance, hoping that the workers will pick it up. I finally started to raise my reputation within the Myrmex hive. After the first success, I tried to give resin chunks to the other workers, but none of them seemed to be interested. They were busy trying to attack me, which is why I also tried to tower high into the sky so they wouldn't be aggressive towards me anymore. They still wouldn't take it. I went down to check what the problem was, and I discovered that the queen generated a second hive which blocked the exit of the other hive. This queen really didn't want to trade with me. I kept getting smacked by them, so I did the only thing a rational human being would do: make the hive go extinct. To be honest, I don't really need the egg farm, so I just collected the eggs the queen has already laid and went on to work on the next two objectives. Number 1, hatching an electric blue dragon. Number 2, get Longway an armor upgrade. Since I need rain to hatch the lightning dragon, I started with objective number 2, get Longway an upgrade. He's been wearing this diamond armor for too long, and let's be honest, it's ugly. So what I'm gonna do is forge and craft him a set of fire dragon steel armor. This requires a lot of dragon blood. You know what that means? It's time to kill some dragons. The first dragon I encountered was surrounded by Stymphalian birds, but they were no match for Longway. Then we went to work on the dragon. I iced him first so he'd be immobilized, and then I swooped down down and started to smack it with my sword. After a couple hits, it was down. I got 5 dragon blood from it as usual. I used the same tactic on the bronze boy here, and it worked splendidly. With the green one, I just let Longway finish the job. While searching for more dragons, I came across a floating island. I was considering turning this into a base, but when I entered the basement, I saw zombie villagers with blocks of iron, and that just creeped the hell out of me. So I left as quick as I came. I took on a couple more dragons before it finally started to rain. It was time to complete objective number 1, so I placed the egg down and waited for it to hatch. A couple minutes went by and it finally hatched. It's a male electric blue lightning dragon. Looks like Longway has a brother now. Let me know what to name his brother. I set up shop nearby. This is where I'm going to build the dragon forge to forge dragon steel. I teleported back to the storage room to get the supplies I needed. I grabbed some more dragon blood and I crafted all the blocks necessary to build a dragon forge. I went back to the spot and started building. 4 bone blocks in the corners, fill the rest in with dragon forge blocks. For the middle part, I used the core and input blocks surrounded by more dragon forge bricks. And the last layer is the same as the first one. The dragon forge was finally ready. I put in the dragon blood and the iron, but there was one thing missing which I didn't think about. I have an ice dragon and a lightning dragon. In order to make this fire dragon forge work, I'd need a fire dragon. No one was online, so I decided to hatch another dragon. I chose the gray egg. When it's done wiggling in fire, we will finally have a complete family. This one turned out to be a female. Looks like I have 2 sons and a daughter. Make sure to drop name suggestions for our 2 new family members. Now in order to make her able to forge dragon steel, she has to grow. So I took her to the rainbow cavern and fed her dragon meal. I mean, this is a lovely place to grow up in. She's all grown up now. I placed her by the dragon forge and she went right to work. Now I just have to wait for all 189 dragon steel ingots to be forged. It took a while, but finally I had them all. I opened the crafting table and crafted all 21 blocks. Using those blocks, I crafted the ultimate armor for Longway, a full fire dragon steel set. Back in the cavern, I swapped out the diamond armor for the fire dragon steel armor. It looks absolutely stunning, black on white. Longway is unstoppable now. We have accomplished a lot on the server so far, and if you couldn't tell, this world I'm playing in is an SMP, so there are other players on here that have probably played more than 100 hours. We've had battles at the market, players sending gifts, PvP fights, players building bases together, prisoners, and prison breaks. We even had small wars at some point. The only reason I have been able to stay in this modded world for this long is because of you guys. So I want to thank you for being here. If you'd like to join the SMP, be active in my Discord server. The more active you are, the higher up you are on the leaderboard. This is the current leaderboard, and everyone on here that doesn't already have whitelist will be whitelisted. Let's see what we'll have achieved at the 200 hour mark.